Good morning, good people. It's me, Kyra. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. On this channel, I talk about budgeting, all things finance, fun stuff, and building wealth as a single mom. First generational wealth as a single mom. That's why I'm trying to go with this channel. Today's video, it's going to be something different. I'm not going to be doing a budget today. I'm actually going to be talking to you guys about savings accounts and a few things that you should ask yourself when you are in the market for a savings account, or when you're in the market for a savings account, when you're trying to find the best account for yourself. More specifically, I want to kind of break it down per account. So this video is going to be focusing on questions you should ask when you are looking for a savings account. And I'm actually currently looking into opening a savings account, which is why I decided to create this video for you guys. So I have about 6 or 7 questions that I have created that I find is very important when you are looking for an account to open for your savings. And I'm done rambling. Let's get right into the questions. So the first things first, when it comes to a savings account, you really want to know what type of savings account you want. And in this video, I'm going to more so specifically talk about just basic savings account. I'm not going to talk about mutual funds, money market accounts. I'm not going to talk about CDs or anything like that. I want to talk about just basic savings accounts. One thing that I find, there is maybe some people that are uncomfortable with banking completely online. There are some banks out there that do have a high interest rate, or APY, which is an annual percentage yield rate, versus that has a brick and mortar and is also online. And then there are some that are that's just completely online, that has high savings interest rates with a daily compound. So the first thing that you want to ask yourself is if the location has a actual office or branch that's local, if you need a bank, or if you need a savings account that you can physically go into. Because I know some people may be more comfortable going physically into the bank versus just banking online. I've been banking online for a while, so I've kind of gotten used to not necessarily having to go to a brick and mortar bank, an actual branch. So that is the first thing that I would say you should ask yourself, and just trying to do some research on these different banks. I did find a couple banks that actually have some pretty good interest rates for the savings. Still got to work on those reviews, but I found some pretty good interest rates for the savings for the brick and mortar banks. The second thing that you want to know, I think this is probably the most important, because you guys want to make some extra money. You want to make some money. The second thing that you want to know is, what is the interest rate? What is the annual percentage yield? How much money back will you get when you put your money into those savings accounts? So let's say, and a lot of banks nowadays, they do have the calculator on the savings account. So if you go to sign up for an account, you can always see they do compare themselves to other banks. But then you also can go on there and you can put in how much you're going to be depositing into the bank account, and then how much you're going to be putting into the bank account every month. And then from that, you can actually see how much you would actually get at the end of the year. So if I put in $25,000, which I had that to put in the savings account, if I put in $25,000 and I put in like $100 every month, then I could get back, depending on the average percentage or the APY, the interest rate, I might get back maybe $1,000 or $500 by the end of the year, depending on what the percentage rate is. A third thing that you would want to ask yourself is what the opening minimum is. Is there a minimum balance that you need to have? Some banks you can have as little as $1 to open a bank account. Some banks you need to have $100. Some banks you need to have $2,500. So it's really dependent upon the bank, and also the purpose of the bank. So if it's a personal bank account, personal savings, business savings, and things like that. So that's something that you really want to pay attention to as well, because you don't want to sign up for a bank account and not have the money to actually put into the bank as a requirement amount. I did notice that a lot of banks do require that you open the bank account with $100. A lot of them. There are some that have $1. There are some that have much more than that. But for the majority of the banks that I've seen, because I am doing some research and I am trying to open and looking into different savings accounts, I'm looking into different savings accounts. I did notice that a lot of the banks, you need to have like at least a minimum of $100 to open the bank account. The fourth question that you will want to ask yourself when you are looking into getting a savings account is what fees are associated with that savings account. Because with a lot of savings accounts, especially with the savings accounts that don't have actual branches, in any savings account, any bank, if you have a bank card that is attached to that savings account and you need to go to like an ATM or something to withdraw it, then that will have a fee. Some bank accounts do reimburse your fee. Some bank accounts don't. Some bank accounts reimburse them up to a certain amount. Some bank accounts don't reimburse them at all. So that's another thing that you want to think about. And also, if there are any transfer fees. I know that I think by law, there is supposed to be a cap on how many transfers you do from a savings account to any external account. So the fourth thing you want to think about when it comes to your savings account is the fees that are associated with them. Some bank accounts, some savings accounts have fees that are associated with it in the sense of like online banks, because they don't have like a brick and mortar or branches. They more so, of course, they have a corporate office, but because they don't have branches, there will be, for the most part, more than likely a ATM charge depending on where you get money out of. So if you go to the bank and you pull out cash and you are banking with a online bank, then more than likely you may be charged for let's say $3 fee. Some banks actually do reimburse you up to a certain amount. I know Ally do. I know Ally reimburses you up to $10 in ATM fees for the month. So if you reach, if you only go to ATM once or twice in a month and that's only $5, they'll reimburse you your money back. Of course, outside of $10, they won't. And there are also some banks that do not reimburse you. So you also want to pay attention to that to make sure that, okay, if I'm banking online and I have to go to the ATM and I have to pay $2.25, because most of the time that's what it is, like $2, $3 for a fee, will I be able to get that money back? Will I be able to recoup that money? Now, granted, there are a lot of, on the bank app themselves, you can find the ATMs that's close to you that won't charge you a fee, because of course you are a customer. But you want to be mindful of that fee just in case you can't, and just in case it's out of your way. Just make sure that you're able to recoup those funds if you have to go to the ATM. Another thing when it comes to savings accounts is there are fees usually associated with like transactions. So outside of, let's say 6, that's the most I've heard, like the most you should get, the most fees, the most transfers you can do from, like, let's say you want to transfer, let's say something happens and you have to use your emergency fund from your savings account and you need to transfer like $500 or something like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Or let's just say, right? Let's say that happens and then you have to transfer. That first time you won't have a fee, but up to 6 times you won't have a fee, but after that you'll be charged every time after that. So that's something that you also want to keep in mind of the charges for, like, if you need to transfer money out of your savings account to an external account, to make sure you know what the fees are associated with that and how many transfers you can do to avoid, like up to how many, just so you can avoid that fee. There are also some banks do have maintenance fees, so that's another thing you want to think about too when it comes to the savings accounts. Some banks, I believe Citibank is one, but after like a year of non-activity, they will start charging you like $4 and some change, $4 or $5 and some change, if you don't have any activity. So if you're not putting money into the bank account or anything like that, then they'll charge you monthly, I believe about $4 or $5. So be mindful of those fees as well. The fifth thing that you want to be sure about and ask yourself is if your money is insured, and up to how much your money will be insured. And usually the banks that I know of, they have pretty much all been insured, FDIC insured, and they do have different limits. I believe I've seen some that's up to $1 million, I've seen some up to $250,000. So it really depends on what your requirements are for that. For the most part, when it comes to the insured banks, most of them that I've ran across have been FDIC insured. So I wouldn't think that there would be a problem with that. But if there is an issue where the bank isn't FDIC insured, you more than likely should not be banking with them. Sixth thing that you want to, I would say that you should ask yourself, or just to keep in mind when you're looking for a savings account, is if there is a checkings account available as well. Because there are some savings accounts that do not have checkings accounts. And if you are looking to have, I don't know why I keep squinting. There are some savings accounts that do not have checkings accounts, or bank accounts that only have specifically savings accounts. And if your only goal is to just save, you just want to put money into that savings account, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to have something where you also have a savings account associated with a checkings account, you also want to make sure that, you know, that's available at the bank that you're going to be banking with as well, if that's something that's required. So there are some other accounts that do have checkings. Of course, there are some banks that also have checkings account. So depending on what your goals are, you definitely want to try to see, you definitely want to see what other accounts they have. Like I said earlier, I'm just really more so specifically talking about personal savings accounts. A lot of banks that I do know have like the CDs and, you know, the money market accounts. So depending on what your goals are, those are some things that you may want to look into. The last thing that you want to consider is the actual reviews of the customers. You want to make sure you're not signing up with a bank that's going to mess up your money. You want to make sure it's not going to take forever to process any payments, or for your payments to be reflected. I have seen some pretty interesting reviews for the banks that I had never really heard of. So they're like more newer banks that was having issues with people's funds being reflected in their accounts and things like that, and customer service was not the best. So I would definitely say to look at your reviews, look at the reviews online, go to NerdWallet, Bankrate, or just Google the reviews online. There are a bunch of blogs and a bunch of sites that rates all types of banks and things like that. So that is something that you definitely want to consider. All right, you guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched this video to this point and you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do so for more information about saving, budgeting, financial fun stuff, and building wealth. Dang nabbit, I forgot what the heck I was about to say. If there are any questions that you feel like definitely needs to be answered, or someone needs to ask in their pursuit for their savings account or a bank, whether it's savings or check-ins, please make sure you comment that below. If you found any of these questions helpful, please make sure you comment that below and hit the like button. But most importantly, if you watched this to this point and you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. And that, have more exciting stuff coming up about finance, family finance, and all the fun stuff about building wealth. And that is it for this video. I'm done talking. I gotta do something with my life outside the camera. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.